Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I am doing episode 2 of You Can Sew That, the Sex and the City edition. This episode specifically is going to be episode 2 and 3 of Sex and the City because I felt like 2 was a little too short, so I just combined it with the third one. So with that, let's dive into the outfits. First outfit we're going to start with is Miranda. She's out on a date with a guy that they label as a modelizer, and she's wearing this really tight wrap top or dress. I can't really tell what it is, but I can tell there is a very thin fabric that's wrapped and has a little lace trim. So I found this pattern from Maria Denmark called the Julia dress, and I feel like it is a pretty good match to what Miranda's wearing. I would just maybe deepen and lower the V a little bit if you want to get that depth that Miranda has in her top. All right, outfit number 2 is a big one, and it is going to be featured a lot throughout the series. It is Carrie's iconic fur coat. I believe I saw that this coat is originally made by Pierre Cardin, and I don't know if I'm saying that right. I should probably double check. I think Simplicity 9860 is a really good option for recreating this coat with the really large collar and lapels. It gives that same voluminous look, and I actually do have this pattern in my shop. But aside from that, I do think the Simplicity pattern is a good fit for Carrie's very iconic fur coat. Next, we're at a runway show with Samantha and Carrie is wearing this really chic, simple black tube dress. I think this Laundry by Shelly Segal pattern is perfect. You just need to shorten it a little bit. It is McCall's 9295. For Samantha, she has this fitted coat / suit jacket. Okay, I'm switching over to voiceover because I originally found a Vogue pattern that was kind of close to this jacket, not completely. And then I found this digital pattern by Vicky Sews. It has the flat pockets and it has the shoulder padded shoulders. So I think this is a good fit for the base of Samantha's jacket. And then the fur lining, I would actually use another pattern combined with this, and this is from Fashion Pattern Studio. It is their fur lined coat for the big lapels and the cuffs, and I think combining those two will get you Samantha's look. That is it for episode 2 of Sex and the City, which is why I wanted to tack on episode 3 because there were only a couple key outfits I wanted to feature from episode 2, so let's go into episode 3. Okay, episode 3 is called Bay of Married Pigs. We start the episode off with Carrie as she's visiting her friends in the Hamptons and sees something quite unwanted first thing in the morning. So we have Carrie very startled in her PJ set. For this PJ set, she has these very sheer, maybe mesh capri pajama pants. I would use Quick Sew pattern 3143. And then she's also wearing a zip-up hoodie, just a classic zip-up, easy enough to get, but if you'd like to sew it yourself, there is a pattern from Berta 8042 to get that nice classic zip-up hoodie. Now we're out to lunch. Carrie is catching up her friends on what recently happened in the Hamptons, and I think the one outfit I want to focus on here is Charlotte's tank top. She's a very cute keyhole tank top, sleeveless top. And I have to say, I was actually kind of surprised that I was having difficulty finding keyhole tops. I thought that would be a very common pattern to find, but for some reason it was a little bit more challenging. I don't know, it wasn't coming up in my search that easily. I did find from Sew Girl Patterns a vintage keyhole tank top pattern. So I think maybe this needs to just be raised up a little bit higher on the neckline and those straps are a little bit thicker. I think you'll get that look. Next we have Carrie walking with Stanford. And it looks like she's wearing this vintage coat from the 1970s. I think this can be recreated with the pattern Butterick 5458. It would just need a couple of tweaks. I think you would need to round out the collar, round out the lapels, remove the external pockets, and then also remove a row of the buttons. Definitely a couple tweaks to the pattern. I think there's also some like edging, stitching detailing that you'd probably want to add in. I think this might also be a leather jacket, so at least that shape is somewhat there with that sewing pattern. And she does have a tube top with this, and I did feature a tube dress earlier in this episode. I think if you just cut it even shorter, you'll have the top as well. Now we have Miranda at a work softball game, and she's being set up with a love interest. I'm just going to focus on her fun athletic capris that she's wearing. I found pattern Quick Sew 1679. I think that would give that tight capri look that Miranda's wearing to the game. Now we have Carrie running around the city on a couple of casual dates with this really gorgeous red trench coat. I found this vintage pattern, Butterick 3925, and I think it really fits the bill, kind of that casual easiness that she's got going on with the jacket, and just that more lightweight trench coat material. Back to Miranda, she's on a dinner date with a woman just to appease her boss, and she's wearing this really classic three-piece suit set, and it looks, I honestly think this is one of Miranda's best looks with the way that her hair is styled, her makeup. I love this look on her. She has this amazing double-breasted waistcoat with the lapels and then the full suit over. So let's get a pattern for the waistcoat. We have McCall's 6240. I think that should handle all the details on the waistcoat there. It also does come with pants, so let's just assume she's wearing pants with the outfit, and you can make that as well. As for the jacket, she's got some shoulder pads going on, so I found this re-release from McCall's from the 90s, and it is M8433. Moving on to a housewarming party for the guy that Carrie is dating, and all three girls are wearing fairly different dresses. Charlotte is wearing a red v-neck shift dress, very classic and very typical of Charlotte. Simplicity pattern 8266. This pattern's a little bit more A-line, maybe just taper it in a little bit after the hips, and I think that should give that straight figure of the dress that Charlotte is wearing. For Carrie's look, she looks like she's wearing a slinky black jersey dress. I think McCall's 7989 is a good option, at least for the top half of it, but it definitely would need to be slimmed in a lot after the hip area and then shortened. So definitely some tweaks, but at least the top part should look a little bit similar. And last of the trio here is Samantha. I found a digital pattern from Her Patterns on Etsy, and it is a two-piece set. It is a halter top and a maxi skirt. I think if you use the halter top and you either extend the top into the skirt, or if you just keep it as two separate pieces and you're okay with that, I think this is probably the closest pattern that I could find to Samantha's look. I completely forgot to film this part about Charlotte's nightgown. She's wearing this cute slip dress with a lace top and split spaghetti straps. I think this quick sew pattern 2980 is almost identical. You would just need to add the additional spaghetti straps to create that split strap look that Charlotte's nightgown has. I also want to talk about Charlotte's gorgeous long wool coat with the large collar, large lapels. I found this Berta pattern style 121 that I think is a good match. Okay, next up we have another jacket that gets featured on Carrie quite a lot through season 1. It is this casual gray unlined coat / jacket. I actually have two patterns for this. I have a pattern that is currently in my shop. It is a vintage Calvin Klein where the collar is exactly the same. It has the buttons that are covered up with an extra little flap of fabric, so the buttons aren't actually exposed. And it's hard to tell in this episode that that's what's going on with this jacket, but if you watch a couple episodes beyond this one, you'll see when she's all buttoned up that the buttons are not showing. I think if you're looking for the accuracy of the jacket, I think this Calvin Klein one is very close to that, and I'm almost kind of wondering if it is that exact coat. I wonder if that is a Calvin Klein piece. That would be kind of cool, but that's one option. Those Calvin Klein patterns can get somewhat pricey, so I did find a cheaper option as well. This one is also available in my store, and it is McCall's 2400. It is that same shape of the jacket, has the same collar. I think the only difference is that the buttons are exposed, but somewhat minor if you don't really care about it too much. And a last little fun piece is the bandana that Carrie is wearing. I found a pattern on Etsy by Michaela Creates, but there's also a lot of free patterns on YouTube for making bandanas. All right, that is all of the outfits from episodes 2 and 3 of Sex and the City season 1. Yes, I'm going episode by episode with all of these outfits. I'm trying to cover as much as I can from this series. If you have any requests, please comment below, and if this is something you find interesting, please subscribe.